Well, good morning, everybody. I can kind of tell by the chatter here in the room after break that it looks like everybody's ready to get on down the road and get out of here. So we will try to keep this short. We will stay on time. Hopefully, since we're going last, the old adage will apply that you save the best presentation for last. Between me and the group, we kind of discussed that maybe we were put last in hopes that there wouldn't be as many people here today in case this thing goes up in flames. Either way, you guys are in for a treat. So, as you can see up on the screen today, we're going to be talking about how to make the most efficient use of time after our ALPS 18 presentation in our meetings, and it's subtitled The Beers We Drank. So, my name's Chad Nelson. Here with me today I've got Craig Lester, Chad Arkenberg, and Brian Monk. And in just a few moments, these gentlemen are going to step forward and provide a little bit more introduction about themselves. As you can see in the picture here, we've got a giant beer can pyramid that we constructed over the course of our ALPS presentation. Now, as the ALPS class knows, having Brian in our crew for this was really crucial. And I guess I'm not insinuating that Brian was the one that drank the most beers, but I guess the point I want to get across is Brian's in construction. He knows how to build things. But actually, this isn't what our presentation is about today, but while I'm on the topic of beer, I've got a beer joke. A neutron walks into a bar, sits down and he orders a beer. Bartender promptly serves him his beer. The neutron says, "How much will that be?" The bartender replies, "For you, no charge." So as I said, we're just joking. Our actual presentation today is analyzing the current state of project implementation by use of the scientific method. In this presentation, we're going to examine some of the relationships that exist between construction and materials. We're going to look at some of the issues that are there and maybe present some solutions to help better this relationship moving forward. As I said, my name is Chad Nelson. I currently work in District 3 in materials. I'm a 2010 graduate of the University of Illinois with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. I was hired in September of 2010 as an engineering technician for District 3. I served 5 years as a resident engineer, and the past 3 years I've served as a physical test engineer in District 3.
Hello, my name is Chad Arkenberg. I have been with the department since 1999, so almost 20 years. For most of that time, I've been in the geotech unit. I graduated from Eastern Illinois with a bachelor's degree in geology, and I just recently moved over to the H&A section, and so I look forward to learning that until I retire, probably.
My name is Craig Lester. I'm a graduate at John A. Logan College. I worked for Southern Illinois Asphalt building your roads for 7 years before moving to this side of the team. I was hired in 1995 as an engineer technician in construction. I moved to materials in 2000 in the PCC division. I was the acting PCC supervisor from 2012 to 2016 and was promoted to ET4 PCC supervisor in 2016.
Hi, I'm Brian Monk. I graduated at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. I worked as an IDOT intern while I was there from 2003 to 2007. After I graduated, I went to go work for Albert Bench Company out of Chicago. After working at Albert Bench from 2008 to 2012, I came to work for IDOT, and I've been here ever since. My major background is in bridge work and urban reconstructs. So we kind of wanted to get out who we were. We're all deeply ingrained in PI. We want to let you guys know that this is something that we work with every single day, and that it's something near and dear to our heart. We approach the problem using the scientific method. I assume that a lot of people in here are associated with the scientific method, but if not, I just kind of wanted to give a brief overview of what the scientific method is. The first 3 steps in the scientific method are kind of the background and the backbone of the scientific method. Basically, the first part of the scientific method is to ask a question. Our question was kind of 2 parts. Is project implementation performing it close to an optimal level? The second part of that is, in what areas of project implementation is improvement necessary? The second part is background research. We formulated a questionnaire and handed it out to our higher-ups in our field, and we then got that questionnaire back and analyzed that data. From that data, we constructed a hypothesis. Using a little bit more of our rapid results verbiage, we kind of looked at what a future state would be. And we came up with the conclusion that there are 4 areas based upon the questionnaire that we could maybe approach to help improve PI. The last 2 steps are kind of breaking down the data and drawing conclusions. Did this work? How good did it work? Or did it not work, and how bad was it? Chad's going to kind of take you through a little bit more of the in-depth part of the first 3 parts of this process.
Thanks, Brian. Now, before I get started again, can everybody in the back of the room hear me okay? Okay, good. So as Brian said, we're going to kick this thing off and kind of look at the current state of affairs going on in PI at this time. We're going to go through 3 steps here. 1, we're going to ask a question. Number 2, we're going to analyze the answers we received from these questions in our background research. And then number 3, according to the scientific method, you always formulate a hypothesis. So to begin with, we're going to ask a question. Now there's a handout. I believe maybe just the panel members only have this handout. So some of the questions that we asked are referred to on page 2 of this handout for your reference. So to begin with, we needed to figure out if there was any pertinent problems that the districts were facing in the Bureau of Project Implementation. Our group originally composed 26 questions. Now, we went through these questions and we kind of whittled the list down to 9. 26 was too many to be asking individuals that already had a lot to do, very busy schedules. So we whittled the list down to 9 questions. These questions were sent to the district PI engineers, material engineers, and construction engineers. When we originally wrote these questions, we were trying to write them with the intent to find out some problems that were going on in PI. And we were also going down the path that maybe we had a preconceived notion that there was issues with material exceptions and non-compliant materials being used. And we also thought that maybe contracts weren't being closed out timely enough for various reasons. But in some of the answers that we found, this was not the case. For those of you that don't have the handout, I'm just going to kind of paraphrase some of the questions we did ask. Number 1, what is the biggest issue PI faces at this time in your district? Similarly, what can we do to improve the efficiency of both the construction and material sections? Third, is our current construction staff adequately trained and knowledgeable in the area of material inspection? And the last example I'm going to use is, describe your opinion of your relationship that currently exists between construction and materials in project implementation. So moving along, we've definitely asked our question. We actually asked 9. Next, we're going to analyze these responses. And it's always joked about how every district has its own way of doing business, and it is true. Every district does things differently. But it was really surprising that the amount of similarities we found in the responses to these questions. So to begin with, the biggest thing that we found districts had similarity amongst, and it's probably no surprise, is that we've got issues with employment retention and staffing. Now the bullet points that are up on the screen are actually paraphrased from answers we received, and they're in response to this question: what is the biggest issue PI faces in your district at this time? Just highlighting some of the bullet points, you see staffing, wave of retirements, hiring and retaining entry-level CEs. Of the 13 responses that we received on this question, 8 of them directly referred to employee staffing and retention as being the biggest issue. The second area of common ground we found among districts was that of training and cross-training. Similarly, again, these are answers taken directly from our questionnaire, and it answers this question. Do you believe that our current construction staff are adequately trained and knowledgeable in the area of material inspection? As you can see, just highlighting some bullet points again. One comment was made that we need to get newly employees trained and up to speed. Another comment was made that no, we're not adequately trained, but right now we're just bridging the gap. We're just doing enough to get by. The third comment you see up there, somebody says, you're kind of trained, kind of not. Maybe you're still lacking knowledge, we can do better. And the other comment that was brought up in that slide is that training can be very expensive. And that is true. One of the quotes I did put up here on the screen, but I thought was important to underscore here, the question that was asked is are our current construction staff adequately trained? One of the comments I received, it was, I'm not even confident that our current material staff are adequately trained. So you can see there's issues on both sides of the bureau there. Moving along, communication was also common ground amongst all the districts. And the bullet points you see up on the screen are in response to this question. What is your opinion of the relationship that exists between construction and materials in your district? I'm just highlighting some of the terms up there again. There's room for improvement. Of course, there's always room for improvement. We need open communications. We need to open the line of communications. Another comment that we received is currently things are very siloed amongst the construction and materials. People are kind of set in their ways of the job they do, and they really don't go outside those bounds. We're not talking to each other like we need to be. So this leads me to ask the question is, how can we become better listeners? And how can we promote the sharing of information amongst the Bureau? We're going to investigate that as we go along here today. The last area we're going to focus on today, and it was the last area of common ground that we found in our question here, was that in response to technology. And the bullets that are on the screen are in response to this question. What would you like to see to improve the efficiency of both the construction and materials section? Looking at some of the bolded words, we need funding. Definitely, we always need funding. Moving along, less paperwork. We all know how IDOT loves its paperwork. How can we get rid of it? 3, we need to be able to share documents in real time. And this kind of ties back to the communication issue. And the last one on there is a comment that was made about increased access to smartphones. It's the way the world's moving. There's no reason we shouldn't be right along board with it. So a summary, where are we going today? How can we improve the relationship between materials and constructions? Well, it's going to start with increasing our staffing and retaining the employees that we do have. We're going to need to work on opening the lines of communication. We're going to need to have increased training and cross-training amongst the district. And lastly, we're going to need to focus on improving the technology we have and even implementing new technology. As I stated, the last step in any scientific method that we do is construct a hypothesis. Just very quickly, this one is very, very easy. It's stated, it says PI can perform at a higher level of performance by applying additional resources in the 4 areas we just talked about. Staffing and employee retention, training and cross-training, communication, and technology. Nothing rocket science about that, it's pretty self-explanatory. And by investing in these 4 areas, we're going to see increased cohesion, teamwork, and shared success between the 2 sections. I'm going to continue on things here. We're going to go through each of those 4 different categories. And my section here is on the staffing and employee retention issue. I have a quote up on the screen that says, if you think it's expensive to hire a professional, wait until you hire an amateur. Now, the goal of hiring our employees at IDOT is to simply not just to increase headcount, but we need to be doing so with increasing headcount with competent employees. Now, working for IDOT, we all know how frustrating it can be to work with somebody that is less than competent. but we also need to refocus our efforts on what it takes to actually retain the professional employees we have. So on the next couple slides, I'm going to look at some issues that are created by staffing, and then I will also present some solutions that we can possibly help combat these issues. So those that have the handout, this will be a lot more clear to see, but I have a chart here that breaks down district headcount, and it does so in the following way. The blue line is the 2018 overall PI headcount. The orange line represents the 2018 materials headcount. The green line represents the 2018 construction headcount. And the yellow line represents the 2008 PI headcount. The reason we included 2008 was just as a reference to compare to 2018. And I want to note that some districts didn't have access to the 2008 data. In particular, districts 3, 6, 7, and 8 were not able to provide that number. But looking a little more closely at this chart, what are some things that stick out? Well, in districts 2, 4, 5, and 9, our 2018 PI headcount is equal to or less than it was in 2008. We're not gaining employees. Oppositely, if you look at District 1, they actually did increase headcount as compared to 2008. And another stark fact here about District 1 is they have almost 3 times the staff in PI as compared to any other district in the state. And I guess it makes sense. It's a large metropolitan area. There's a lot of work going on there. But what are they doing to get these employees to want to stay? How are they hiring these people? What can we learn from District 1 to increase our headcount in these other districts? Something else that might pop out at you is the stark difference in staffing numbers between construction and materials. Construction has way more people than materials in almost every district. So what are some of the implications of this statistic? Well, it means that materials can't always be out on site on a construction job if there's ever an issue. This means our construction staff need to be more adequately trained to handle material issues as they come up. Something else that could be done to help combat this issue is we simply hire more material employees. I have a schematic on the screen that kind of describes some of the effects of our shrinking PI workforce. There's a large age gap that currently exists within IDOT. In the late 1990s and the early 2000s, IDOT just wasn't hiring enough people. People were retiring, we weren't keeping pace to keep that number at least static or unchanging. So the first two scenarios I'm going to talk about with people leaving, we have a loss of experience and we've got a loss of knowledge. When our older staff retire, they take all the knowledge and experience with them. And right now we don't have a whole lot of younger staff in place to help impart that knowledge on. The third bullet up there I have is reduction of innovation. Right now in many districts we're just doing enough to keep our heads above water. We're not able to actually innovate. And the innovations we do are basically in response to we don't have enough staff. And I believe that many other state DOTs are currently outpacing us. Tied to the loss of experience and the loss of leadership, the loss of knowledge, we have a loss of leadership. When the older staff retires, they're the leaders of their department. There was a comment we received in our questionnaire in which one of the districts says, when these staff retire, those that are next in line to step up into these middle management roles aren't ready to perform at that level. Meaning, we're throwing these people, it's trial by fire for a lot of these staff to have to move up. And that's just the way we've been doing business here at IDOT recently. Next on the list, I've got project narratives. So this is construction projects where we're using non-compliant materials, we're writing material exceptions, and we're also not closing out contracts timely because we just don't have the staff to do so. The last bubble up there, I have a point about increased phase 3 billing. I'm going to look at that on the next slide. So the chart on the screen shows 4 districts. It's the districts that are represented by this group today. Districts 2, 3, 5, and 9. And it is the phase 3 consultant money that we paid between 2012 to 2017. So over the 6-year period, if you add up these 4 districts, we're at over $45 million spent. It's kind of eye-opening, $45 million Now, what are these phase 3 consultants doing for us? Well, they're filling the gaps in when we don't have enough staff to adequately staff our construction projects or staff our material labs. And in many instances, these consultants really don't have a true stake in the successful completion of an IDOT project. They're just there to work. They go home at the end of the day. They really don't take much stake in the project. Just think of what this money could be spent on moving forward if we got away from it. So next, I'm going to try to relate the age and condition of our current infrastructure to staffing needs. The chart on the screen is a table taken from the 2018 Transportation Asset Management Plan that IDOT came out with this year. And the key number I want you guys to focus on is, this is just focusing on pavements within IDOT in Illinois. But pavements that are over 40 years old, all the way over here on the right, over 90% of our pavements in Illinois are over 40 years old. Our infrastructure is really old. Rehab work is going to be growing and it's ever present. We're going to need more staff to staff these projects moving forward. IDOT's ideology is currently also changing. When we build a pavement, we're going to be providing more upfront maintenance early on in the pavement life. And this is in response to avoiding placing costly band-aids on a roadway that's severely deteriorated later on in its life. So we've got a really old infrastructure. We're going to be doing a lot more roadway work to help maintain these roads up front. We're going to need more staff. This chart is also from the same Transportation Asset Management Plan, and this one highlights the ages of our structures that were built and maintained by IDOT. And the key figure I want to point out here is the amount of structures that were built in the 1960s, almost 1,700. Doing a little bit of math, over 58% of the structures that we currently have in IDOT were built prior to 1980. So this means that roughly 1 out of every 2 structures that IDOT maintains is almost 40 years old. So I just talked about a lot of issues that we have to come up with employee retention and staffing, but what are some of the solutions? I've got 5 different solutions I'm going to walk through. I'm going to start with salary. It's easily the most recognizable and easiest solution we can come up with. The results from the 2017 Employee Satisfaction Survey just came out here recently. And one of the statistics that were kind of eye-opening in it was that out of those that responded to the survey, when asked about if they think they're adequately compensated on a scale of 0 to 10, the average result was about 5. Something else that's eye-opening about this stat, this is the 3rd straight year that this statistic has decreased. So people that currently work here for IDOT currently don't think they're getting compensated fairly. Now I did a little bit of background research, and I found that our civil engineering entry salaries are fairly competitive with the private sector, and they're also fairly competitive with Midwest and surrounding DOTs. But where we start to lose out on, especially to the private sector, is with upward salary mobility and end-of-the-year raises. We just don't get those. So to help with recruitment or retention, I think we should reevaluate the salaries that we currently offer. On the next slide, I've got the salaries broken down according to civil engineering rank and also our engineering technician rank. So I'm going to keep talking, but you guys can kind of look at some of these. We've got it broken down to yearly salary, and I also converted it over to an hourly salary. Now, along those same lines of our civil engineering, we also need to address our technician salaries. There was a situation in District 3 just this past year. We had a summer help working for us. At the end of the summer, he was hired on full-time as an engineering technician. And he got his first paycheck. And if you compare, the ETT is the rate he was making as a summer help. The ET1 is the rate he was making as a full-time employee. He was making less as a full-time employee than he was making as a summer help. And that just isn't right. So to help combat this, we also need to fairly compensate engineering technicians by providing a little bump to their salaries. Something that an idea that has been brought up is creating a new job classification. This would be for individuals that have a construction management degree. Now these individuals are not eligible to be hired on as a civil engineer because they don't have an engineering degree, but they do have a 4-year construction management degree. Go back. Someone with a 4-year degree would be hard-pressed to hire in at $15.17 per hour. So we're missing out on an entire market of graduates that have degrees and want to work. But we're not going to attract those kids to come work for us. They're going to go to the private side, they're going to go to a contractor. My second bullet point that we can work on to help improve employee retention and staffing is to make a more robust job rotation program. Now looking at this cartoon, Alice here is asking her boss if she can go to a particular class. And what does the boss say? We can't send you, we need you here. And after we use you up here, we're going to need you to be someplace else. So Alice leaves the boss's office, and she sees a co-worker in the hallway, and she says, well, what do I do when my skills are obsolete? The co-worker says, well, try walking around with a cup of coffee. So I'm sure we've all seen this in our offices. Somebody that you always see out walking around with a cup of coffee, and you're kind of wondering, what is this guy doing? Like, does he work? Is he motivated? Well, there could be several factors going on. One, maybe he just has a poor supervisor that isn't willing to help train this individual, just doesn't care what this guy's doing. Two, maybe this guy's just a not very motivated employee. And three, maybe he's an underutilized employee. Maybe he got put somewhere he doesn't want to be. So that's the point of this job rotation program. And a solution here is we need to be able to post generic entry-level positions that aren't tied to a specific bureau within the department. Currently, when we have a job posting, it's tied to a specific bureau, whether that be construction, materials, program development, operations. Why can't we just have a generic job posting that will allow this person just to come in and they're an engineering technician or a civil engineer that works for IDOT? This would give us the freedom to rotate this person freely through the system, through our different bureaus and departments, to get them training and experience, and to also see where they fit in best. At the end of the day, the department needs to weigh its needs against the desire of the employee. Of course, during each phase of the rotation program, this individual that we hire would need to be set up with a mentor who would be able to help develop this person's skills and provide them training as they moved on through their early years of their career. And while it does take real effort and attention to train a new employee, and some supervisors might see this as a huge burden, especially when they know this person's just going to get moved along through their section and on to the next section, it kind of boils down to this. You're only going to get out of a person what you put into that person. If you really don't put a whole lot of effort into them, you're probably not going to get much back from them. My third solution for helping combat our employee retention and staffing issues is to provide some higher education opportunities. IDOT should want and yearn for its employees to yearn for higher knowledge. Currently, the maximum out-of-pocket that we are reimbursed for higher education is $2,500 per year. I think this could be investigated and increased. Something else that we could do, many mid-level management civil engineers, they have a lot of experience with the engineering, with the science, the numbers. They know that side of the business very well. But where we struggle is on the business side of things. So why not partner with a local university or an online university to provide an online MBA program for some of these middle-level civil engineers? They can go through the program together. They can work on it in the district office after work hours, and this would provide them with some other side of the business and engineering that we crucially need. And of course, perks. What other perks can we provide at IDOT? We all know we have great paid time off. We've got great health insurance. Most of us still have decent pensions for the time being. But what else can we do to help compete with the private sector? Without other incentives to offer, such as bonuses and end-of-year raises and upward salary mobility, what can we give an employee? we'll start off with flexible shifts. As long as an employee is working during that core hours, what do we care when they show up and when they leave? They're getting their work done, and it's being done between the core hours. Why do we have to have this rigorous process of signing off on a flexible shift? It's a no-brainer. Number two, working from home. This would be limited to those that are assigned to an office. Of course, it's not going to happen with resident engineers in the field. They've got to be on a project site. They definitely can't work from home. But anybody that's got an office space and a computer and a phone can work from home. We've all got the internet. We can all stay in communication. And my suggestion here is this would be implemented. Maybe we would start with giving an employee a certain number of days that they're allowed to work from home, kind of similar to our vacation rate. So in this way, an employee isn't completely abusing the work from home scenario. Another option is to increase our maternity and paternity leave. Currently, I think it's 4 weeks. If you have a spouse that's in the department, I think only one of the spouses actually gets that time, which just, it's always been kind of mind-boggling. And I'm thinking for women that actually do have kids, stay home 4 weeks is just not enough. They need more paid time off to stay home. Something else we can do increase our perks. Currently, our supervisors don't have a whole lot of tools to properly reward good performance to our employees. So I suggest, why not give supervisors a bank of time off that they could award to their employees who exhibit high levels of work performance. Now, it could be for, I'm going to give an hour off to this guy, he just did something really good today, he's awarded for it. Or it could even be for a full day. But give supervisors a bank of time that they can use to distribute to their entire staff throughout a calendar year as additional time off. It recognizes good work effort, and hopefully that would be an increased benefit. And along those same lines, I think we could provide time off for volunteering. I got this idea from Lafarge, they're an aggregate producer. They give their employees 2 days off per year to perform volunteer work. Now, this would allow an employee to go out and help their community, and it would also help highlight some really good causes across our state. And my fifth solution to helping increase our employee retention and staffing issue is that of recruitment. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the show The Office, but I've got a short clip here. Michael Scott is going to show us how IDOT used to do its recruiting.
Hello there.
What is this company?
Well, it's funny that you should ask because it's really more than a company.
Don't be missing paper.
Okay. Damn it, Oscar. Yeah, I'm trying to lure these kids into my booth, but kids are very wary of being lured these days. Thank you, Dateline.
So what did we see there? We saw a kid approach the table. The display was pretty lackluster. He didn't know who he was talking to. And within 10 seconds, that kid was walking away. He didn't want anything to do with it. But in defense, IDOT has made great strides at representing itself at career fairs over the past several years. Now currently, I have myself participated in a career fair, and when I went, I would say that our table was a little bit lackluster. It was hard to tell who we were. Our sign that we had didn't really explain what we did. And we were almost having to grab kids by the back of the shirt to get them to want to talk to us. So what can we do to help represent ourselves better at career fairs? Well, one thing that's been going on and needs to continue is the central office needs to coordinate with the district when a career fair is attended. Currently, they are doing this. It needs to increase. We need to have our civil engineers attend these career fairs with personnel staff. Many candidates want to know what it's like to work a day in the life at IDOT, but sometimes the personnel staff just can't give that answer. Whereas if you have an engineer or a technician there, they're going to be able to give you a hour by hour, this is what I do every day. Something else we need to get better on is providing real-time information to our candidates at these job fairs. It was very frustrating when I went when someone would approach the booth and ask if we had any positions open, and the honest answer that we could give them was, not right now. We think something's going to get posted sometime in the next 6 months. Very vague information, not good information when we're competing with private companies that are interviewing on the spot and oftentimes even hiring on the spot. So we're getting outcompeted in that aspect. IDOT needs to be more recognizable among students at our in-state institutions, period. Something we need to do is to establish networking events with students in different engineering groups at our colleges in the state. IDOT could send representatives to attend American Society of Civil Engineer meetings. We could talk and give presentations to these students to show what we do, and we could have more personal level discussions to try to get them interested to want to come work for IDOT. Similarly, we could have IDOT students come to our offices, or we could have engineering students come to our offices. We could show them kind of a job shadow day of what we do. We could highlight some of our more interesting projects and basically get them more comfortable and in the loop of what we actually do. And finally, one of our most valuable recruiting tools and something that we need to continue to fund and even provide more funding for is our summer help program. This is one of our most critical tools that we have to help really highlight what it is we do in project implementation. So with that, I'm going to hand things back over to Brian Monk, and he's going to talk about training and cross-training.
Again, I'm Brian Monk. I'll talk about training and cross-training. Another quote from Michael Jordan up here. He's a guy. Basically, the quote says, you got to train people and you got to train the right way. It doesn't make sense to train the wrong way. So we just want to maybe kind of approach how we can better train our staff at TI, the correct way. What is the importance of training? Everything we do here at IDOT has a cost associated with it. Typically, it could be a small dollar amount, or it could be a very large dollar amount. I've seen both a lot. Decisions need to be made on time. If you're not able to make good, sound decisions on time, you're going to put a project behind, and that also creates a huge problem. It is very important to make smart, practical engineering decisions on both sides. From a collection of knowledge from both materials and construction. So the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why. And we've all been taught this at a very young age. So who should I ask about a particular issue? Who is involved in the issue? And who has this authority to make this decision? If I need approval on a force account, who has the authority to approve that? Is it me? Is it my immediate boss? Is it his boss? Does it have to go to the district engineer? Knowing that kind of stuff is important. What are the processes that are going on? What are the materials that are being used? And what should I be checking? When does this need to be completed by? When do I need this documented by? And when do I use a particular process? Where should I be using a certain material? Where should the materials be coming from? And where should it be documented? Why am I doing this? Why is this important? And why is this the best presentation ever? Why are sunsets good? They just are. So what do we do to adequately train our staff? Both materials and construction need to be well versed in each other's practices. I can't just be in construction and have to call materials every time. Again, material staffing levels aren't necessarily adequate to fulfill all the needs of construction all the time. So I think we need to have cross-training. I had an issue where I was taking an asphalt class, and I was asked by a materials person, why are you going to this class? You're not materials. Well, that's a bad attitude to have. I think we should all have some sort of background knowledge on every single thing that we are doing. Unfortunately, I think a lot of our bosses understand that. So, I think keeping the existing classes is a great idea. I mean, they've all been very informative, from the Lakeland stuff to ALPS, PACE, the in-house technical training, all great stuff. But the existing needs to be updated. It needs to stay current. It needs to be a living, breathing document. It needs to be analyzed every winter time, and it needs to be updated. There's been issues where I've looked at forms, and the person that you're supposed to contact on a particular issue has been retired for 3 or 4 years. That shouldn't be happening. So who does what? I think the training from above is maybe the best thing. Training can happen in an instant. It doesn't have to be an entire class. It can be a simple question. I mean, that's training at maybe the lowest level, but I mean, it can provide maybe the most information. I feel like we should know who the people in our different bureaus are the experts, and they should be made aware that they are the experts. I think that the experts should be made aware, and a list should be provided to the staffing to be able to call on those people that are most current in their fields. Who was the most recent guy that did a soldier pile wall? And if I'm new to it, hey, I can call that guy and gain from his knowledge. So, looking at maybe some new training ideas. Training is only as good as if you've had it. If I had never been in a, let's say, documentation class, I'm a new employee. Do I know everything that's going on since I don't have the training? I think there needs to be maybe a little bit more informal training that people can go through. So I propose, and this is maybe the biggest idea that I would want to roll out, is utilization of the I-92 training. We can create short 10 to 15 minute long videos that people can go in and they can access. I mean, everybody here has been afraid to ask a question. I know I have, because I don't want to look stupid. I mean, it's not very hard, but I don't want to look stupid. And everybody would fancy themselves a smart person, and maybe you don't know what echelon is. You know, and you'd be like, should I know that? Should I know what that technical term is? But you know what? If you're able to go in and access a video and watch a video, you'll be much better versed in the situation. I think that these can be labeled out by the current spec section, and people can go and access that and click on it and know exactly what the process is. And then in each section, you know, the people that are the experts in each section can be looked up, and you should be able to contact them just for your district. And again, I feel like this would decrease mistakes on the first hand. I mean, a lot of times the process can be so slightly different on a certain thing that you think it's done one way, but it's actually done a different way. And I feel like this would help correct some of those areas. And again, if I want to go look at something in materials that I'm not 100% versed in, I can go to the materials section, click on the materials section, and we'll see what they're doing at the plant for the asphalt, see what they're doing at the plant for concrete. I feel like this would help streamline and make things a lot easier for employees. I'm going to turn it over to Chad Nelson, our Chad Archibald, who's going to talk to you guys about communication.
Thanks, Brian. So earlier, Chad talked about communication being one of the issues that our survey found. So I want to start off with a quick video on a good example where I have bad communication.
The fellow playing first base for St. Louis. The guy on first base. Who is on first? Well, what are you asking me for? I'm not asking you. I'm telling you who is on first. I'm asking you who's on on first?
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who is on first?
Have you got a first baseman on first?
Certainly.
Then who's playing first?
Absolutely.
When you pay off the first baseman every month, who gets the money?
Every dollar of it. Why not? The man's entitled to it.
Who is?
Yes.
So who gets it?
Why should we?
So, I think that's a really good example of poor communication. It shows that just because one person understands what is being transmitted and what is being communicated, the other person may not have any idea. And that's what we want to eliminate within PI. We want materials and construction to go and communicate clearly between each other. So here's a good definition I kind of like about communication. It's a process by which activities of society being IDOT, are collected and coordinated to reach the goals of both the individuals and the collective group. PI's united goal is to get our projects built on time, on budget, and with the best materials possible, providing the public, our customer, with a long-lasting product. This goal is only achievable when materials and construction are working together as a team. Constant communication between materials and construction should be the norm. It should not only occur during emergencies or when issues arise. So what is the current state of communication within PI? Well, our survey showed that it's an issue and it can be improved. In some instances, information flowed freely. In other cases, it was battle over, that's not my job. So the bottom line is, our survey showed that communication definitely can improve. So communication seems like an easy concept, but in reality, it can be a difficult concept for all of us to practice. So why are there issues in construction, or why are there issues with communication within PI? Well, our survey found several things, several times. For one thing, people choose not to communicate. They take the attitude of, well, I don't need help, I'll handle that myself. People don't know when to communicate. You know, I should have called you last week, but now I got a problem, can you help me? Maybe if they had called the week before, we wouldn't have a problem. Who are you going to call? Like Brian alluded to. Some people don't even know who to call. If you got an asphalt problem or a concrete problem, who do I call? You know, if the HMA supervisor's out sick or is on vacation, who's the next person in line to call? So a lot of times, our new employees don't even know that, or even our current staff. Their excuse is, well, I don't know that, and that's not my job. I'll let somebody else worry about it. You know, we have to eliminate that attitude, and I think through communication we can do that. And lastly, one of the issues was not listening. Some people just don't listen. So that brings us to teamwork. So teamwork relies on timeliness of communication. A delay in transmitting essential information can lead to misunderstandings and eventual escalation of problems. Identifying lines of communication before a project begins is good practice. It should be the norm. This can be best accomplished at the pre-construction meeting and re-emphasized if needed at other meetings. So we're talking about communication. We have to talk about effective communication. It has to be clear, concise, complete, and correct. 4 C's of communication. And anytime we're communicating, we need to consider these C's. Whether we're preparing an email, we're talking face-to-face, or we're talking on the phone, we should consider each one of these. Poor communication has an impact on how we're perceived by others. The process of construction involves teamwork, and communication is essential to teamwork. So, within PI, within IDOT, oral communication, these are 4 common types of communication that we typically use. Oral communication, formal and informal meetings are types of communication, written communication, and electronic communication. So we're talking about oral communication. We're obviously talking about telephone conversations and face-to-face conversations. This allows for more fluid dialogue. You can just sit and chat with your fellow coworkers and work through a problem. It's relatively informal. And it can be confidential. It can be between an RE and their staff. However, oral communication has its disadvantages. It can be misunderstood, misinterpreted, and it can be contingent on the speaking skill and and the listening skill of the recipient. There's no permanent record or messages not easily retained when you're using oral communication. And it's not the best method to discuss lengthy conversations, especially when you want to retain information and refer to it at a later date. So written communication. Again, another area that can improve. We utilize different media to present messages. We're talking emails, faxes, which that's kind of going away. We don't really use faxes too much anymore. Meeting minutes, text messages, and there's many more. And these are great because they provide a permanent record and can be used as evidence. The messages written one day are the same the next day, a year later, or 2 years later. And information that's written is less likely to be misunderstood or misinterpreted. And unlike oral communication, you can go back and reread a written message, especially if you don't understand it. I know there's times I've gotten an email, and I'm like, what? I read it, what the heck did that say? So after 2 or 3 times I've read it, I finally kind of understand what it said. So that's a benefit to written communication. But keep in mind that not everybody is a good writer. One of the classes I took when I was in college, and at the time I thought it was kind of a waste of time, was a technical professional writing class. And I think that's something that the department should look into in the future so that our employees know how to actually write technical. Formal meetings, another way for me to communicate. So I'm talking about pre-construction meetings, contractor, subcontractor meetings, pre-pour meetings, pre-installation meetings, closeout meetings, and etc. Typically at these meetings we'll have an agenda and we'll have a list of required attendees. The meeting may be routine or a singular event at a specific time during the construction process. This is a good time to clear up any what paper needs to be filled out. So what types of formal meetings can be utilized with your communication? Pre-construction meetings, coordinated bureau meetings. And when I say this, I'm talking about meetings between construction and materials, our PCC, HMA section, geotechnical section, and our physical test section. And lastly, resident staff. This is something that's kind of often overlooked. This is another way, another type of meeting that we should have. So spelled out in the construction memorandum 03-70 basically states that before every job starts, the resident must sit down with the contractor and discuss the job. And materials representatives should be present at this. It's a good time to provide a contact list, like Brian was referring to. Who do you contact? Who does a contractor contact? Who do our people contact in materials for issues? And hopefully this is not the last time that materials and construction are meeting. So coordinated bureau meetings. Let's go over some of these. So mixture control field meetings. These should be held for any large HMA or PCC portal. And I believe most districts are doing this. It's a great time to go over mixed designs for concrete, for HMA, discuss what type of testing, if there's any special testing, discuss when it's going to be required, who's going to be doing the testing. Is it our people? Is it the contractors? Is it the consultant? Are these people qualified to even do the testing? We have all this training, but it may be 10 years ago when an employee had the training, so do they need a refresher course? These are just an easy way to get everybody on the same page. On smaller jobs, you don't necessarily, if you're just doing a small widening job, you're going to have a huge meeting, but at least you should be communicating through emails or through a phone call. And if there's any important information, you might want to request that in writing so you at least have a document, a record of it. So geotechnical meetings are the next type of meetings. I was in the geotech unit for about 19 years, and we probably had very few of these. But they should probably be held before any large geotech project begins. There's a lot of issues in the geotechnical world that most people don't deal with on a day-to-day basis. So this is usually overlooked. Again, a lot of geotechnical jobs require a lot of special testing, a lot of special materials, and a lot of our construction personnel have taken testing courses, but it might have been 10 years ago. Procedures change, and they may need a refresher on how to do the most current test and when to do the most current testing. Something else you discuss is, does the contractor have the proper equipment to be constructing our project? Does he have the right hammer to drive pile? Does he have the right compactors to be compacting and baking? These are some of the lists of the issues that in the geotechnical world can be looked at these meetings. Embankment. Again, it has your borrowed material in it. Approved. A lot of times jobs go out, contractors bring material on the job, and they haven't even had the material approved by the geotech engineer. Piling, it's a good time to go over the bearing requirements, the hammer requirements, test files, and it's also a good time to review the board logs. A lot of our technicians and engineers don't really know how to read a board log. This is a good time to go over what's on the board log, what you should expect to encounter while we're driving piling or sheet piling. New alignments. Anytime we have a new alignment, the geotech unit goes out and does a soil report. Well, most of our field engineers, they don't even know how to read one, so it's a good time to pull that soil report out and say, look, from here to here, you may encounter soft subgrades, so be aware. And that also lets the contractor know that this may be an issue, so keep your eye out for it. Again, make sure all the tests they do, we have forms. We have a form page. Make sure we're using the most current forms too. And a lot of times, our guys do not know how to fill out these form forms. Other issues are MSE walls, soil repair, subgrade remediation, and geotechnical testing. Subgrade remediation is a big one. We're treating our subgrades with fly ash, with soil cement, or lime. And a lot of these materials have to be tested during construction. So it's a good time to get on the page when how frequent are we going to be pulling these materials for testing, and who's going to be testing them? What happens if we have a failing test? The list goes on. Moving on to the physical test unit. Meetings are not typical when we're talking about the physical test unit. Typically, the testing for these items are done in materials or at the central office. However, the meetings should probably be held anytime there's special pay items. We have a lot of weird pay items that are showing up on these jobs now, and our REs and techs are not familiar with them, so it's a good time to get on to review what our special pay items are, what testing will be required. Communication with these smaller pay items is very important. We need to make sure we have the right paperwork and make sure these materials have been approved prior to being used. This last one is my favorite type of meeting. I like to call them stop-ins. They're typically done by materials. I know anytime I was going to look at one job, if I passed through 3 jobs, I usually try to stop at those jobs to see what's going on, And they shouldn't be viewed by construction personnel as an intrusion. Here comes the geotech guy, running high for him. No, they should be looked at as a good opportunity to ask questions, And I always felt like people appreciated when we were out there. So these meetings here, they should be probably more frequent than all the other types of meetings that we have. They allow for immediate discussions. It was surprising how many times we went to a job and all of a sudden there's issues. We never got a phone call, we never got an email about it prior, but you show up at the job and all of a sudden there's all these issues that are there. So maybe they were just too afraid to call or didn't know who to call, but by stopping in, we can eliminate those issues. And even telephone conversations, just pick the phone up and say, hey, how are things going today? You just come up to look at anything. And if there's anything that is important, you can always say, hey, can I have that in writing? Can you send me an email on that so I have a record of it? Field office staff meetings, and when I'm talking about these, I'm talking really resident staff. These are great to communicate any new information so everybody is on the same page. Maybe the resident talked to the materials guy the day before, and it's a good time for him to relay that information to his staff. When you help fix communication errors. Everybody needs to be on the same page. An informed employee is always better than an uninformed employee. No one likes to be left in the dark. A lot of times these should be short, quick, to the point, and they should be done frequently. When I was out in the construction world, we didn't do a lot of these. I don't think we ever did one of these. But a lot of times I didn't know where my coworkers were even at. Where was Joe at? Was he on with the asphalt crew? Or was he doing storm sewer? We didn't, no one knew where everybody was at. And for employees that are new, it might be helpful to know where the more experienced employees are at so they can ask questions if problems arise. talking about communication, about meetings. And this is all great information, but how do we improve construction, communication between construction and materials? First off, we need to realize that construction materials are a team and they must work together. We need to know our roles and when to ask questions. If you're not an expert in the geotechnical area, call the geotech engineer. Know who to call and when to call. And lastly, look ahead and plan. So the bottom line with communication is PI's united goal is to get our projects built on time, on budget, with the best materials possible, providing the public with a long-lasting product. So communication is a must. Good communication is a must. Teamwork between materials and construction is a must. And the bottom line here really is that without communication, the construction process is not going to go smoothly. So we need to have a good team atmosphere and great communication. And up next is Craig to talk about technology.
Thanks, Jack. A quote from Director Blankenhorn. When I came to IDOT, my goal was to see us become the country's most innovative department of transportation once again. Today I'd like to talk about technology and ways to help make materials and construction a more fluid dynamic between each other. How do we do that? Data sharing. What kind of data? Test data, construction data, coming together so decisions can be made with the right information. I want to talk a little bit about Mystic. If you're in PI, you know Mystic. You know the old Mystic, which is Materials Integrated System for Information and Communication. The old system is based on the land system. It's very hard to come in from a field office and get into it and see what you want to see. One of the things that really surprised me in talking with everybody in our group was only half our group knew Web Mystic even existed. Why is Web Mystic important? Web Mystic's important because it allows the user that has internet access to be able to access all the information that's in the system. You're an RE. You want to know if a concrete test has been submitted and uploaded into Mystic for payment. Get online from an internet and you know instantly. There's not a reason to go, well, I didn't know if that report got reported yet. I didn't know if that got in. One of the other things Mystic is really useful for is being able to look up via contract, via material code, or anything else to figure out if it's been accepted and if it's in. So once again I said, Materials Integrated System for Test Information and Communication. This is what the format looks like when you pull it up online. Once again, if you've seen it on the land system, it's a whole lot different. The land system's an old, I think it's even older than DOS, but it requires commands to call up. That's how old it is. So this is what you'd see when you come online to see it. This is just a quick snapshot of everything that's available to see. You can look up aggregates, hot mixes, PCC, contracts, materials, assignments, whatever you need. This is just a quick overview of what is available on the Web Mystic. Web Mystic. It allows access from any location with internet service. Once again, why is this important? Because we can find this from any place that we can get a hotspot, field office, or anything else. It provides evidence inspection for material items. Once again, why is this important? It allows us to see what's been inspected, what's been approved, and what's ready to be paid for. It provides material test results. Has this been an item that we've had issues with? We can see either in concrete, we can see items that may have air issues, may have had strength issues. All that information is provided for us. If you're doing a different plant and the contract next to you was working something, you can actually look up the plant, see what kind of reports they've been getting, and be able to start heading off issues before they happen. And it provides a Mystic Test ID number, which as auditors or anything else, it's easy to find and look up and know you have. So just a quick glimpse, like I said, if you've been part of the Mystic system and you've seen the online or the land-based web Mystic and you pull up information to see it, it is totally different. I couldn't even get a screenshot of it because it doesn't allow you to screenshot of it, but it looks like an old DOS program. This is what you see, this is the results you can see with the web-based Mystic. All the information is pertinent and right there available for you. We're going to talk a little bit about technology. So, a show of hands in here. Who uses a smartphone or a tablet in their day-to-day work operations? And how much easier is it on life than trying to drag around a laptop? The same holds true out in the field. So, we're trying to do things. We're trying to move in real-time information. We're trying to see what we need and what we don't need, and we're trying to communicate. So how can we do this? Well, the tablet is a great system to do this. I use iPhone and iPad because currently that's what they're being given assigned to us. I've been part of a new program. I know in 9, I think there's 6 handed out of iPads. Why are they important? Allows access from any location with or without internet service. So if you're out in the field and you need to transmit something to either the district office, the field office, or any place else, bridge question to send up to the bridge unit in Springfield, it can be done instantly from the point you're at with a picture of what the situation is and uploaded and sent instantly. Don't have to take a picture. We don't have to take it back to the office, download it on a laptop, email it up, wait for a response, drive back out to the situation, and burn all this time. It allows real-time information to be shared. So why is this important? Well, it's easy. If I have an issue and we're out in the field and I need the RE to see it, with this information, they can be shared and it can be networked within that contract itself. So the RE is trying to get a pay estimate done. I have an issue a question or something going on, I can shoot the picture. Get it right to him, he comes in and looks at it and can give me a definite, don't worry about it, that's something we expected, go ahead and this, or hey, wait, we need to stop something isn't right. But this information flows quickly. It's not drive back, explain the situation. Okay, let me quit what I'm doing, we'll go back out to the job, and we'll go look at it. It allows storage of various information and documents. So, when we use the laptop, it allows us to have programs. So a program that's very good, that is universally used, is PDF. So what is a PDF? PDF is a portable document file. Basically, if you go onto our file system, almost everything that comes down is a PDF. This PDF can be downloaded directly and kept on your laptop. So, I could be watching one piece of operation going on and being able to do an IDR off the PDF and getting it ready. That IDR can be in my iPad, uploaded, the RE in the office, because we can share all this together, can go ahead and go, hey, I can start doing his IDR. It's sitting right here. I don't have to wait for him to bring it in. There it is. I got it. I can print it. Goes in the file. And what I looked at over here is done and documented while another process is going on here. I don't have to run to the office, handwrite an IDR, give it to the RE, here's where we're at, I got to get back out because the contractor's now doing this. So PDF allows anything we have, and almost everything we have is in a PDF format, to be loaded onto that tablet. What else is good? I can download the whole job. the special provisions, the plans, and any notes that I may need can all be loaded into that pad, into that iPad, that tablet. So I can go through and look, hey, where am I at, what do I got? And find the information. If I can't, it's readily available, then I can check with an RE. Another big thing we have on that is the ability to do the spec book. The reoccurring special provisions is on there. And one of the great things about PDF, instead of, especially for newer hires, well, I don't know where to look that up. Well, what are you doing? Well, we're doing PCC overlay. You can go into the fast find section and put PCC overlay, and more than likely it's going to give you 4 or 5 locations, and all you're going to have to do is click, and it's going to pull you up the spec that's relevant to what you're looking for. The second thing I'll talk about is SharePoint. And SharePoint is, it's a web-based collaborative platform that integrates with Microsoft Office. So why is this important? Well, we all know on our office settings, at the district level, or even in the field office, almost everything is run with Microsoft Office. So, now the tablets have SharePoint. SharePoint allows all of this information to be gathered, put in, and disseminated through Microsoft Office. So if you have a program that runs Excel, you can take it through SharePoint, run it through Excel someplace else, and move that data with one-time entry of doing it on the tablet. Why else is this important? Once again, we can do IDRs. We can do erosion control inspection. We can do yields. We have 2 pavers. One is doing mainline paving, putting in, we'll say, a 4-foot wedge of shoulder. We have another mainline paver coming the other way. Basically, we're going to have 2 inspectors probably doing yield checks. We can do real-time information with each one, breaking out, here's the lane, plus now we know pretty much we're going to have to break out the shoulder cost and another main line here. We can get a real-time yield and what we're seeing getting laid, which is very important instead of having to go back through at the end of the day, hash out tickets. Okay, this is for the eastbound so-and-so lane, and this was all paid at binder. This is the westbound lane that is 12 foot of binder and 4 foot of shoulder. So all this information can be uploaded and it's available then to break out, and it's given in real-time information. The OneNote. We talk about communication and we talk about communicating with each other. OneNote. OneNote is basically an electronic notebook. And an electronic notebook allows us to document discussions we had amongst ourselves, discussions we had with the contractor, and putting those down on paper to communicate later. As Chad said, when you have something written down, it really can't be dispelled. So we have a discussion. Now the contractor can see a section of the OneNote that we produce. I know if the RE isn't there today or he's someplace else, here, we've had this discussion. We're going to pay for this as this because of a certain change that he's approved. We don't have to jump through 5 hoops trying to find, okay, who said we could do what, when, and where? It's already available in our OneNote and in our electronic notes. And the OneDrive. The OneDrive is a cloud-based system. So basically what OneDrive does is it gives us the ability to load it up into one cloud-based system. So not only can we keep everything within the job description or the job contract relative to who's working there, but when it's on one cloud, the field engineer can look into anything he may want to see, or if there's any question, he doesn't have to ask, wait for somebody to get it and respond, get it back to him, and know what we need. He can go onto the OneDrive petition, go into X contract number, find what we're talking about, analyze the data, and make a decision without ever having to send it, bring it back, wait for a decision, move back again. All this communication moves quickly and freely and is available. We all know we download apps, we see apps, they make our life easier. Why at IDOT can't we have apps that are relative to what we do? We have a lot of smart people at IDOT that probably should create apps that are specific need for construction and materials. When we have that, that's the ability, then we can do that in-house. But if not, there's the ability to go out to the app stores and download those. How we compensate for an RE that decides to do that, I don't know. That'll be a question of how we're going to figure out how to reimburse somebody on that. But if there's an app out there for $9.95 that saves an RE 3 hours worth of work, that's an app well spent. It's an app that has everything done. Will we have to look at things to make sure that the app is appropriate for what we need for documentation? Of course. But that technology's out there to move things faster. I want to share one thing with you on the SharePoint that I forgot to kind of bring up. So we did our project together, all 4 of us. We're from 4 different areas of the state. We built our project at the same time, seeing the same things all together. When Chad would make something, I could see it in real time as we all were logged into our project that was being done on PowerPoint. When I made a change in mind, those guys could see what I did. So as you see, we kind of ran uniformly because we knew as we went along what we were building together to keep it cohesive. So once again, that's what SharePoint gives you. It gives you the ability to do things from various locations in one area to achieve one single goal. So in conclusion, and wrapping it up, and I know everybody's ready to go and graduation is close, so I'm going to wrap this up quickly. The desired future state of PI is what we're trying to achieve. We feel communication that flows freely within PI will be a benefit. A team atmosphere. When we're all together, pulling together, and it's not us against them, oh, it's materials guys, oh, these construction guys are driving us crazy. It's not that. It's all of us getting the job done together. Incorporating existing and modern technology to make information available quickly and accessible to everyone. I think we've demonstrated that in some of the technologies with a simple iPad. And we know it's much durable with the protective casing than any laptop will ever have. Improve and create new training and refresher courses for re-educating field personnel. It's like Brian said, hey, what about training in YouTube? The iPad gives you that ability to, hey, we're going to go use a paper today, and I haven't looked at one of those in a long time. Hey, let me go to that IDOT website. I'm going to look at what stringless paving looks like, and I can get an idea, let's say edge slope. What do I need to check? What about a dial bar insert? All the things that may be relevant that you need to get caught up on, if we do what we talk about, is available through the iPad. Improve, create new training and refresher courses for re-educating field personnel. The laptop gives us the ability, or I'm sorry, the iPad gives us the ability to take that information and distribute it amongst the district. It keeps everybody more in a uniform state. So it's not, well, this is how I did it with this RE, and this RE does it this way, and this RE does it this way. Yes, everything's going to be a little bit different, but if the generality of the information that's available is there, we can all stay on the same page. Retain staff and knowledge. I think Chad did a great job of trying to show you guys everything that we think is an asset and kind of a detriment at IDOT. But I think he gave us great ideas to try to bring new people in and to bring new ideas in. Benefit of desired future state. If you're in construction working as a team. Eliminate the confusion of what testing, sampling, and paperwork are required. Construction personnel are properly trained and up to date on the most current testing procedures. Less paperwork, which everybody likes less paperwork, which means basically instead of me doing a paper to a copy to something else, we do it electronically and get it all into the RE into one central area. And in that, we would get jobs closed out quicker. With the Mystic system being able to look at, an RE should be able to go through Web Mystic, pull his contract up, and he can look at everything that's been assigned. If he doesn't have what he may need, looking at closing out, hey, materials, or hey, I need this or I need that, I'm going to do a final job. I don't have to wait for the materials technician or the construction technician in documentation to go, hey, you don't have X, you don't have Y. What will this take? It will take a coordinated effort of construction and materials, an openness to change and embrace new technologies, and a team atmosphere, and retain employees and their knowledge. I'd like to bring everybody back up, and we'd like to answer any questions you might have.
So questions from anybody? Start with Liz.
All right. I have one comment and one question. IDOT does currently have a job shadowing program. I think it's a tremendous idea that you guys gave us. So the way it's set up right now is that people can shadow our employees for a couple of days. We try not to go on too long. However, they cannot use the state computer, they cannot get the state vehicle, they cannot be on the state job site. So it's limited, however, it does exist. So feel free to start using that if you see opportunities for it. The question I had is you talked about a rotation program. Do you think that that's something that should be required across the state for civil engineers? And in your research, did you have any discussions or thoughts about how that could or would not work at central office?
So the question that Liz asked is about the job rotation program and if it should be required for our civil engineers. And then she also asked if it would be able to be implemented at the central office. Now to start with your second question, we really didn't go into much detail with the program at the central office. We were kind of more focused on rotation at the district, so I don't have a good answer for you there. For your first question on if it should be a required program, I guess I would tend to agree with that. We need to get to the point right now where we actually have enough staff in each district where we're able to actually start rotating people. Right now, with the staff that's retiring and the people that we're bringing in, we're just doing enough to plug holes right now. So once we would staff up and we would be at an adequate level, I think it would be something that would be required. Thank you. Any more questions? Sure.
You talked about bringing in somebody with a construction management education as a different class of employee. What about potentially bringing in an engineer who is not necessarily trained as a civil engineer? Maybe somebody has studied just general engineering or something like that. Would that be an option?
So Mike had asked me to make a reference to the idea would be creating a new job classification for people with construction management degrees. He's asking about individuals that have other engineering degrees that are outside of being civil engineering degrees, such as general engineering. I guess that would also be in consideration, and I think if an individual will have a general engineering degree, they would be at the same level as our civil engineers. Of course, there's a little more in-depth training that they would need once they got hired on what we do on the civil side, but they've got the science, the math background, the problem-solving background that I think they would be able to come in and work as a civil engineer for IDOT. Any more questions?
One of you mentioned I think that, other DOTs are outpacing us. Do you have any examples of that, or is that just a notional comment?
So the question is, the comment was made that other state DOTs are outpacing us. And I have a little bit of background information on that. Listen to some other presentations we've had today. Other state DOTs are implementing technology way before we're even thinking about it. We're kind of just riding on other DOT shirt tails. I'm subscribed to transportation webinars, and it's just various trainings that are available to different state DOTs across the country. The one that particularly sticks out to me is Minnesota seems to be always on the cutting edge of research, implementing new IT ideas, different construction techniques, and it seems like I said, in the Midwest, Minnesota definitely sticks out in mind as being on the forefront of the transportation industry.
Kind of attach onto that with some of the other presentations that were given earlier. It seems like California, obviously they always seem like they're on the cutting edge for a lot of things. And then Colorado and Florida as well. It seems like it's been a common theme for departments that have kind of been a forerunner in a different aspect in one way or another. It never seems like it comes up that, oh, IDOT is on top of the game as far as what we're doing. We don't ever seem like we put ourselves out there at the front for really too much of anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
You touched on a lot of things we can do to benefit the employees, and one thing you talked about was working at home. Have you thought about how there would be accountability there? And honestly, my wife works out home all the time, does great, but there was just a county engineer who resigned because of issues regarding his team there.
So the question is, what kind of accountability would need to be enforced if we would allow employees to work from home? Definitely that would need to be investigated. There would need to be set rules in place for this. Our supervisors would have to be top-notch in respect to this and monitoring when an employee works from home. But definitely there would need to be a framework there before that plan would ever be implemented.
Too, and I would believe there would be a way that you could show when somebody logged in and then what work was performed through that login time, and then they're charged. So if you logged in at 10, you were taking 2 hours worth of homework, working at home. I logged in at 10, here is the production I got in the 2 hours, and here's where I logged in.
So one comment that I would add to that as well is there's actually software applications that third-party companies have been using where when an employee is logged in, it actually tracks how often things are moving like this. Anytime they move the mouse, it keeps track of that. So if there's time where it's been sitting dormant for a long time, then it triggers a warning.
My wife worked at AT&T, and that's exactly, she worked from home. That's exactly how it worked. They were monitoring her work every minute via software to determine whether she's actually working or wasn't working. Sure.
You know, something
something
I kind of envision with a work from home plan is that, you know, if an employee is going to end up using 4 hours of benefit time in a day, maybe they don't want to show up to the office that day and they want to stay home and work that first 4 hours of the day. So that was something I would see that would get highly used in that kind of scenario.
More questions? No?